Why did you say that name?
¿Y me podrías decir, por favor, cuántos días ha trabajado?
Es que las lóminas las quemé, de esas que me dieron cuando trabajé.
¿Pero cuántos días en total, más o menos?
Más o menos.
¿De 45 años has podido trabajar un año?
7 años. 7, por ahí ya no más.
Pero,
Hasta hoy.
de 45 años, 7
A
años.
7.
Pero con descansos.
Yo lo primero que entraba a donde me colocaba pedía el día de descanso ya. Y me dice, hago yo, ha entrado usted y ya está pidiendo el día de descanso.
¿Sí?
Ya para abrir el restaurante que era el arroz. Y me llama el cocinero. Risita, ¿qué? Ve por la paellera. Venga, que a las 2 de la tarde ya están aquí. Miren, bañador. En las chanclas. Todo despeinado porque no me dio tiempo nada ponerme las chanclas y el bañador. Voy a la playa, había subido la marea. Eso. Eso. Había subido la marea y encontré una paella. Y la encontré porque estaba la paellera agarrada, metida entre las piedras de Chipiona, del faro. Y cuando entro en el restaurante me ve el cocinero con una paellera y a ver la vez de paellera. ¡Asómate, mira dónde llega el agua! Llegaba el agua hasta el restaurante. Había subido la marea. ¡Jesús! ¡Ay, qué hacemos ahora! Con los 2 sacos de arroz. ¡Ay, llama para Sevilla! ¡Llama a Sevilla que traigo paella! ¡Ay, Jesús! Y yo con el bañador con la paella. ¡Ay, cocinero! No vea, para Sevilla. Y al último, que cuando ya salió la bien de regla, estamos llorando los dos. Me cobró el tío la paella. Me cobró a 500 metros la paella. Y ya no fui más. Me fui andando a coger los amarillos hasta hoy. Me mandó por la noche, había bajado más el agua y por la mañana había subido. Cualquiera estaba vomitando la paellera, ¿sabes? A lo mejor está en el barco ese del petróleo.
¿En el Prestige?
En el Petriense. Y ya no trabajé más la cocina. Ya aborrecí la cocina. ¡Ay! 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 Pues no cobré nada, me dieron el dinero del bote.
¿Había mucho dinero en el bote?
Lo que me echaban y el dinero de lo que gané, me cobraron 20 paelleras. A 500 caras, pues viste lo que me llevé yo para Sevilla. Ay, ya aborrecí la playa. Ay, hemos llorado los dos. Ya está, tú, no es para tanto, yo. Así yo no quiero arroz, Jesús, yo no quiero arroz ni en chino, vamos.
Yo, back in this bitch. If y'all saw that intro, gotta give a shout out to my dog Film Gob. That was Film Gob's intro. I mean, well, he made that. I just stole it and put it as an intro because that shit was funny as a bitch. God damn. Oh man, I think I watched that shit like fucking 50 times a day, dog. I don't know, man. Just not. I mean, I've seen that laughing video before, but the shit, if you actually read it, it's actually so much funnier because that's true. You know, Warner Brothers. I think Warner Brothers just fucking with us. You know, and we talked about that today. Me and my dog 44. That's what this podcast is kind of about. So get ready. We talked about everything. SJW's cancel culture. Warner Brothers fucking with the movement. All that good shit. All that good shit. So get ready. Tell your girl, like I always say, sit the fuck down and shut the up. Let's get into some music. After that, we're going to jump right into the interview. Well, it's just, you know, Watchmen Weekly wrap up. Me and 44, but it was a good talk, dog. That little fucker is funny as hell, bro. Let's give him some music. Be right back.
One for the money, yes sir, two for the show. A couple of years ago, on Headland and the low, what's the starter? Something good, where me and my nigga rode the martyr through the hood, just trying to find that hook up. Now every day we looked up at the ceiling, watching ceiling fans go round, trying to catch that feeling off instrumental. Had my pencil and plus my paper, we caught the 86 flop on your head, it was the cable.
Hey, you already know I had to bring it back one time for them serves to the proof worldwide, you feel me? You know what I'm saying? Show them how we get down in Texas with our muddy cups. You know what I'm saying? Vibe out to this shit, man. A-Town, what's going down?
One for the money, yes sir, two for the show.
Chop stars.
One for the money, yes sir, two for the show. A couple of years ago, on Headland and the low. One for the money, yes sir, two for the show. A couple of years ago, on Headland and the low. What's the star? Something good. Where me and my nigga rode the martyr through the hood, just trying to find hook up. Now every day we looked up at the ceiling, watching ceiling fans go round, trying to feeling off instrumental. Had my pencil and plus my paper, we caught the 86 flop on your head, it to Decatur. Rhymes trying to find our spot off in that light off in that spot. Knowing that we can rock, doing the hole in the wall club. This shit here must stop. No, like freeze, we making the crowd. Knowing that we can rock, doing the hole in the wall club. This shit here must stop. Like freeze, we making the crowd. Knowing that we can rock, doing the hole in the wall club. This shit here must stop. Like freeze, making the crowd move, but we not making these and that. Say no.
A 1-2. Dope niggas in the Cadillac, they call us. Went from Plagueis ball to boss, putting the South up on the map. It's like Little Rock to banging. Niggas say motherfucker plaguing. They pay you stayin', legging vocals done. Made it with them big boys up in this industry. Outcast, yeah, them niggas they making big noise, million sold to this day. Niggas they take it like they 96 gon' be that year that all y'all Plagueis haters can bite me around this bitch. Yo mama and your cuz. In the day when I was younger, looking to fill me belly with that rallies. Bullshit, pull shit off like it was supposed to be pulled. Full of the chick, I stone like them white boys. Smoking them white goods before them blunts got chrome. Chunky ass, pass breaking like Harry Berry, so fine, intertwined. But we ain't sipping wine, we just chillin' on the rabbit villain. And I'm so high, smoking freely. Me, Lil B, Rick Moan and Suge, my little brother James. Things changed in the hood where I live in. Them rats know, mama, I want to sing. Mama, I want to trick. And mama, I'm sucking dick. Now, we moving on up in the world like elevators. Me and the crew, we pimps like 82. Me and you like Tone. Yeah. Like it is East Point, and we go. Me and you, your mama and your cousin too. Rolling down the strip on poles. Coming up, slamming Cadillac.
The money, yes sir, two for the show.
Me and you, your mama and your cousin too. Rolling down the strip on poles. Coming up, slamming Cadillac.
The money, yes sir, two for the show. Got stopped at the mall the other day. Heard a call from the other way that I just came from. Some nigga was saying something, talking about smoke some. You remember me from school? Not really, but he kept smiling like a clown, facial expression looking silly, and he kept asking me, what kind of car you drive? I know you paid, I know y'all got hoes from all them songs that y'all done made. And I replied that I've been going through the same thing that he has. True, I got more fans than the average man, but not enough loot to last me. I got more fans than the average man, but not enough loot to last. True, I got more fans than the average man, but not enough loot to last me. To the end of the week, I live by the beat like you live. Check. If you don't move your feet, I don't eat, so we like neck. Yes, we done come a long way like them slim ass cigarettes from Virginia. This ain't gon' stop, so we just gon' continue.
Your mama and your cousin too. Rolling down the strip on poles. Coming up, slamming Cadillac.
The money, yes sir, two for the show.
Me and you, mama and your cousin too. Rolling down the strip on poles. Coming up, slamming Cadillac.
The money, yes sir, two for the show.
On my laptop in a few days, so to be honest.
It's all good. Me neither, dog. I've been out and about, fucking, same old shit running around. But I see y'all boys talking a lot of shit in the chat room, so I'll be like, damn, what the fuck are they talking about? Let me get somebody in to fill me in. What the hell going on Twitter, man?
Now we just keep chopping it up about current events. Really, same. I look at it as really the same old shit. I don't really.
Yeah.
See anything changes. Like Snydercut did come out, shit was fire, but after that, it's just back to the business as usual.
Right.
WB's just dropping all these garbage films. Most people don't like them. You feel me? There's people that think that they're all right. They're good enough. They do their job. Same old shit.
What, you mean like Wonder Woman? Wonder Woman and shit like that?
Yeah, Wonder Woman 84, Mortal Kombat. I'm not even going to smash on Godzilla vs. Kong because that movie was supposed to be what it was anyway. But the thing, then even, people talking about, I guess, the JL 4K trailer that came out yesterday or some shit. That was pretty stupid, though. You feel me? Like, that was pretty stupid.
What, everybody putting the thumbs down on that shit?
Nah, them coming out with the trailer. I expect everybody to thumbs down that shit. What the hell? Like, why wouldn't the Snydercut just came out like a month ago?
Right.
The whole world had an opportunity for the most part to see it. Most of the world, and I don't know how anybody could watch that movie and then sit there and watch this damn Joss trailer and be like, oh yeah, we about to support this because this is a thumbs up.
Right.
A lot of people are straight saying that they should just discontinue that movie.
Right. Yeah, they should, definitely. Why do you think they do that though? Why do you think they put out that 4K trailer? What are they doing when they do some shit like that?
They're trying to ride off the hype. Mm-hmm. All this shit is just business and marketing. They're just trying to ride off the hype, confuse people, mix this cut in so they can get more sales and shit too. They know that they about to connect. They're gonna connect that, BS to fucking the Flash movie. They're just not saying it yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what's that? The CW shit?
Yeah, I guess the Flash movie is gonna be connected to the CW, and it's probably gonna be connected to the fucking Justice League movie. Because this is the way I see it even with the Flash. It's like I figured the Flash was done up as soon as he did that crossover on CW. Like as soon as Ezra Miller Flash did the crossover on CW and let Grant Morrison Grant Gustin Flash son him and all that shit. They let him son him and all that shit. So like, oh yeah, I didn't even have a name before all this stuff, and introduced the multiverse. And I already know that even just based off that, like, you feel me, the CW Flash is gonna be in this Flash movie. I put money on it. You feel me what I mean? And even with that, this Flash movie is also gonna most likely be connected to Justice League. So that just gives me reason right there to even not ever be interested in it. I've been knew this anyway. I've been knew this years ago. That's the only reason why they're keeping Justice League around. Like, they did this stuff in the comics and in the animations for the longest time. They're just keeping that shit around as a linchpin. You feel what I mean?
Yeah. So
it doesn't matter whether the film is good or not. This is the film that, like, you ever play with Hot Wheels and all that stuff to put together the tracks. It comes with the little track pieces and everything. Justice League is the piece that sends the track in a wholly different direction. You know what I mean? Like, you're making it straight, and then you do a little squiggle, and then there's that piece that sends the shit to a whole 90-degree angle, straight to the left. Like, that's Justice League. Everything was going smooth, and then they laid down this piece and they threw everything to the left, and then everybody's like, damn, why don't they just take this piece off until it could go back to where it was going? Because they want it to go this way. If they take that piece out and then they put it with another piece, the Snyder cut, which would then continue everything the way it was going, that's not what they want. They want it to go this way. You know what I mean?
Right. So what gives it away to you that it's going to be a part of Justice League Flash? Just because the CW maybe connection? Because Ben Affleck is in there. Ben Affleck, probably will be remembered more as the Snyder cut, right?
Yeah, but Ben Affleck is also in Justice League.
Yeah, you're right.
But this is a thing that's gonna become an issue between corporate canon, artistic canon, and consumer canon, fan canon. You know what I mean? What the fans think is canon. Because WB is gonna say, Justice League is canon because they need that stuff to connect to their films. Obviously, we know when it comes to Zack Snyder, from his films, Man of Steel, BVS, Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's his lineup. That's his canon. You feel what I mean?
Right.
If you were to ask the dude who made the movies, all right, what's the storyline of the movies? That's the story. That's the line he would give you. You know what I mean? And then there's also the fan perspective, where some fans feel like Wonder Woman fits in there too. Some fans, there's also Suicide Squad, the Ayer cut that hasn't been released, but people feel like that also fit within, the canon. But at the end of the day, that's all really people are debating. Like, the reason why I see like Ben Affleck being in it is because he's already in Justice League. So at that point, you feel what I mean? They can say whatever they want. Like, they don't even have to acknowledge, you feel me, the Snyder Cut. They can even do things in Flash that can low key, you feel me, in a way acknowledge the Snyder Cut and Justice League, and you'll never know which one they're referring to. You know what I'm saying? Unless the only thing that can really stop it to make it connected is, they're going to be doing multiverse stuff. But beyond that, it's like, that's really it. Unless they're in there talking about Darkseid, unless they show Steppenwolf, you feel what I mean? Unless they make unless they're making strong references to, you feel what I mean, what happened in Zack Snyder's Justice League, then Cyborg not even going to be in it. So you know what I mean? Like, so and to me that makes it even more kind of connected to Justice League, because in Justice League, Cyborg didn't even have a big role or presence. There was like, even with this whole thing where they were trying to push and promote, like, oh yeah, we're gonna make Cyborg and Flash a team and a duo and all this stuff, and they always trying to team Cyborg up with somebody, like on that buddy copy, but whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you have to peep game on this. If you watch Justice League, even when that movie came out back then, Cyborg and Flash did not have any type of chemistry on screen. It wasn't cool. It wasn't like, they were clearly putting these characters together to be like, to befriend each other, whatever, to set up future movies. Like that, all that stuff was in Zack Snyder's Justice League. All of it, even all the behind the scenes stuff, all that stuff with Ray Fisher and Ezra Miller being all buddy, and then you watch, the Snyder Cut, Flash and Cyborg, or you feel what I mean, kind of buddy, like that. None of that stuff was put over into, you feel me, the reshot film. So the idea that they were even going to carry over, that they even had to carry over Cyborg and say like, oh yeah, we were going to do this with Cyborg, and we were going to have him in the Flash, and he was going to be like best friends with the Flash and all that, and they were going to team up. It's like they tossed all that stuff out a while. Maybe they were considering sticking to it, but they cut all that stuff out of the Snyder Cut, and they didn't even release the behind the scenes footage of those actors, like, relations to each other. You feel me? Until the Snyder Cut came out. So even when you think about it, Ray Fisher being gone just leans it more into Justice League, because Justice League never supported the Flash Cyborg dynamic. So Cyborg not being in the Flash movie, who fucking cares at this point? Because it's not like, you feel what I mean, it was ever set up. The only place it was set up was in the Snyder Cut.
Right.
That's it.
Did Ray Fisher fuck himself with talking about Hamada and everybody? Did it backfire on him?
In some senses.
Yeah. You think that's why they pulled him out the Flash movie?
Because I feel like what Ray Fisher and like people big and small need to, don't really get when it comes to entertainment and obviously the movie industry and all that, and all type of entertainment industry, especially with nowadays where a lot of people feel like the entertainment industry is becoming even more snobby, in your face, with the over promotion of ideals. Let's just say that. Like is that like there's a time and a place for like how he's coming, but at the end of the day, the reason why it's working against him and a lot of people is because is the idea of accountability versus entertainment, which is pretty much, you feel what I mean, accountability over escapism. And you can say that, and that sounds good and everything, but at the end of the day, a lot of people go to entertainment for escapism. They run away from other things because of politics and things and real world things that are frankly just in other avenues of life. Right. So it's kind of creating an unstoppable force, a movable object type of situation where it's like, yeah, everything should be held accountable, and we should always be aware and be trying to progress and all that. I know there's also a political tinge to it. But then on the flip side of that, it's like, all right, then you have the people that are just going to be like, well, no, you feel what I mean? Like all this stuff, whether you like it or not, is literally here to distract people. It's not here to send a message. It's getting to that point in society, even American culture, where people are fighting for the fact that that I guess media is there to distract them. They're not there to push agendas to them. Feel? And they're totally right about that.
Right.
And when it comes to, not to say they don't sound stupid saying that in some sense, but they do have their right to have that opinion. But when it comes to Ray Fisher and that specifically, he's getting caught in a situation where it's like, dude, you understand you want to put the accountability over the entertainment, but you are an actor. You feel what I mean? You are a creator. You feel what I mean? So at a certain point, he has to decide, like, dude, are you just going to be an activist, or are you actually going to start acting again? Because your job is all about escapism. Your job is all about, you feel what I mean, pulling people out of the world that they exist in now and taking them to another place so they don't have to deal with the problems of today or of the moment.
That's a hell of an answer, though. That's a hell of an answer, because that's true, but it's now being blended, like politics, all of that shit is blended together, and they want engagement on like every 24, every hour out of 24 hours a day. You gotta watch me on Justice League. I mean, not on, whatever celebrity, watch me here, then check me on the internet, then fucking follow my movement, then, you know what I mean? It's nonstop. And it's like, damn, dog, I just want to see your fucking movie. I didn't want to be immersed in all of this shit that you're leading me to do,
Yeah, and a lot of people feel that way. And other people, and there's other people that feel like, fuck media. I'd rather stand for what's right than just, watch, TV, whatever. I mean,
Right,
I
right.
can totally stand with that too.
Right.
But that doesn't, negate from the issue that it is causing, because it's like Ray Fisher couldn't. That's the whole thing. Ray Fisher couldn't honestly have sat there and thought, unless Zack Snyder just became literally the most popping director in the world and had all, and accumulated all the juice he needed, in the last few months. Ray Fisher couldn't really possibly have thought sitting there talking. Not to say he can't talk shit and speak whatever he needs to speak.
Right.
But he couldn't seriously be sitting there talking all that shit about just to say WB in general.
Right.
And actually thinking that they was about to put you in Justice League 2, or you was about to be in the Flash, or they're about to continue any. And it may seem like Ray Fisher is a small guy compared to all the other people and movers and shakers involved, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you feel me? The dude is shaking the boat so fucking. He's shaking the tree so hard that he's damn near ruining everything at a certain point. Like the escapism is gone. Dead ass. The escapism is gone. You feel what I mean? The executives can't hide. You feel what I mean? Zack Snyder's out on Front Street. It's like, even if they were to continue this, one of the main things that people are gonna be on people's mind is like, damn, you feel what I mean?
Right.
All this wild shit really went down, and they really about to give this nigga more money. They're really about to make more Snyderverse or do a cyborg movie. That's crazy. Like, even if people will be willing to accept that, it still is like, you know what I'm saying? It would automatically take people out of it. You feel what I mean?
Right.
And people would be pounding WB even more. If they would have been like, all right, we're more Ray Fisher, more JO2, without, you feel what I mean, figuring out a way around it. You feel what I mean?
Right.
They would have just looked like chumps. They would have like, Ray Fisher chumped you, Zack Snyder chumped you. You feel me? He dug out through the mud. You feel what I mean? And y'all still you folded and gave him money. You gave him more work.
Right.
Unfortunately, the opposite happened. Ray Fisher was sitting there running his mouth.
Right.
And they were like, all right, that's how you feel? We're not putting you in the Flash movie.
Right.
He kept running his mouth. You know what I mean? Like, all right, that's how you feel. We'll just fucking come at you and Zack Snyder and say we not fucking with neither one of y'all on the THR article. I think it was THR, right? Where they said that Warner Brothers felt that Zack Snyder was putting Ray Fisher up to it, and so they're pretty much letting you know, like, man, we not fucking with neither one of y'all. This is how we feel. This is how we think y'all coming. You feel me? We let you know. You feel me? So when people ask us why we didn't fucking, follow the money or give Zack Snyder more burn or give Ray Fisher more burn, because we felt like they was plotting.
Right.
That's what they said.
Right, I agree. So why was he pushing the issue? Do you think he wanted to get the movement? Because there was some Black Lives Matter shit in there.
That's the only answer. That's the only answer. The question he can answer, honestly.
Damn.
Because that's why I say it puts him in it puts him in a weird predicament. Because it's like, how can you be one? Are you trying to be one of these? And even in the business sense, like, studios don't be fucking with that type of shit. It doesn't matter how I feel about it, they just don't.
Right.
But it's like, the thing about Ray Fisher is that, and the reason why I say this, that he said on multiple occasions that he would be willing to come back for the Flash and do more DC film movies and do his Snyderverse. He said that, like, but that's what I mean. It's like, bro, you can't be out here, you feel what I mean, like relentlessly destroying escapism. Like, you're the mascot of accountability over entertainment, talking all this shit, and then saying like, oh yeah, I would be willing to come back. You know what I mean? Do more DC movies and participate, like, bro, participate in the escapism. Like, bro, you just dogged out escapism. You're killing escapism right now. Like, bringing you back into the, you feel what I mean? Is like, bro, you're like the face of anti-escapism right now. You're pretty much telling people like, fuck escapism. You should be worried about real life shit. Right. More than anything else. And then you're gonna, on the other side of your mouth, is saying, well, I'll still be in the Flash, I'll still be in the Snyder. Like, bro, come on. That's where a lot, not just Ray Fisher, but that's where a lot of actors are low-key finding themselves. Where, you feel what I mean? Yeah. They're trying to preach all this crazy shit, dog out people, you feel what I mean? Come extra political, and then still think that they can step into these roles and people will, I guess, be able to like put the blinders down and just see them as the character they're playing on screen.
Right.
And it's not
right.
that's not the case. The same thing even happened with Donna Brie Larson, and she's in billion-dollar movies.
Right.
And she low-key had to revamp herself, come with a totally different angle because she was putting herself in that same rock and a hard place type situation.
Right.
Where she's coming out, she's doing all this activism stuff. She's shitting on, movies and escapism and telling people how film should be, how things should be represented. And then in her movies, she's doing the same type of stupid escapism stuff that they do in every movie.
Right.
So why should anybody take any of your words serious? Like if not to play out Ray Fisher, but if he was really standing on it the way he was, he should have said fuck the cyborg role a minute ago, in my opinion.
Right.
Like, if you really coming on as accountability over entertainment shit, when people ask you, were you willing to come back to Cyborg, your answer should be no. The answer should be like, I'll take this. Unless Zack Snyder, the only way I'll come back is if Zack Snyder is involved asking to come back.
Right.
That's the best answer I'll take. Either no or that. Him sitting here saying that, oh yeah, I'll still be willing to work with WB and grovel with WB after you. Like, come on, man.
So what it looks like the social justice warrior influence, like cancel culture, clashing with Hollywood, and it's some of these actors are playing both sides, because they want to make these little marches and these like rallies or whatever the fuck they want to do, because you ever notice whenever we get popping, or if we come on 100,000 tweets or something crazy like that, or it's a big day, or it's a Black Lives Matter something, Ray Fisher will pop up, and say some shit about accountability over whatever. But any other time he don't pop up, like, damn, why you want to pop up now when shit lit and you try to throw in some SJW shit? And it's like, damn, dog, we were cool with you just being Cyborg. And not saying like, yo, just dribble the ball, because I don't want to look at it and say like that. But it's like, dog, I don't see what's going on. Because like you say, man, if you want to go back and, I'm gonna still do Cyborg.
Dribble the ball shit. It's stand on what you're saying. It's really all it is, right? Like, stand on what you're saying.
Right.
Like, come on, man.
Right. So check this out. I know you said you don't want to talk about it, but it just brings me to it. It's a natural progression of this conversation. More SJW feeling shit on Twitter. The other Ray, you hear Ray Porter talking every day like, hey guys, keep the peace. But we're all having a good time. Like, we're happy. What are they talking about? I never get it. Like, what peace is he talking about? Who's fighting? What's going on?
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about either. I think lately for the past few weeks it's been pretty peaceful to me. It's been pretty great.
Right. I thought we were having a good time, but every day I wake up.
I think it's also a media thing where they're just trying to make it seem like, oh yeah, the Snyderverse fans are not having a good time. Like, nigga, the Snydercut came out. We've been watching it on Spin, you feel what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Chopping it up about it. There's other things besides WB movies coming out that motherfuckers been watching. Niggas been checking out Invincible and all that stuff.
Right.
It's like Snyderverse fans been cooling. They're just trying to make it seem like, oh, these Snyderverse fans are mad that they're not making a sequel. Like, even if we don't make a sequel, we already assume that they probably will make a sequel. we're just doing this just because we can. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we like out of anybody, we understand how much we smashed on Warner Brothers. Out of anybody.
Right, correct.
We understand. Right. So why would we be sitting there mad? Oh, yeah, there's some people mad over the numbers. There's some people, that's mad that you just want the corporate acknowledgement. And then there's other people that's like, man, these motherfuckers are just dumb because they can make the Batfleck series and I would give them my whole arm. I would give them my soul. You know what I mean? And they don't want it. And you know what I mean? But the other motherfuckers like, man, I the Deathstroke show, I would watch that. And they don't want to make it, okay. You're just dumb. You feel what I mean? Like, what's there to be mad about? Like, at the end of the day, it's not like WB is a person. You know what I mean? WB is a collective people as a corporation. You feel what I mean? They're like a hive mind, just making a whole bunch of dumbass decisions. What is there for us to be mad? Like, did you see Mortal Kombat? Like for a whole week, you got people online trying to defend, like, oh, he was alright, he was being on me. It's like, bro, and we're supposed to be mad. Snydercut was fire. Like, part of my soul is like on fire right now. It's on how fire Snydercut was. Like a tiny bit of my soul is like aching because of how terrible Mortal Kombat was. But I'm cooling. What do you mean? Like, they sat here and got Mortal Kombat, and that shit was more ass than the fucking YouTube series that they came out with like a few years ago.
Right. Man, you're hilarious.
And then they're gonna say that where, man, like, I think you guys, I think everybody else who's really fans of all this WB stuff, I think y'all should be bad and be really rethinking your priorities, because if you're actually sitting here enjoying this stuff after y'all dogged us out for years, the Snydercut is still gonna be garbage. Well, that movie was made in what, 2016, 17, and it came out and it just smoked every fucking high concept film that WB just dropped.
Right, and it was better than all. It was better than.
And I'm not. You can talk about money all you want. Let's talk about quality though.
Right.
Snydercut just smoked Wonder Woman 84.
Right.
Quality wise, but Snydercut smoked Godzilla versus Kong.
Right.
Come on, man. Godzilla versus Kong should have been more monkey versus gorilla.
Right.
They gave you mid monkey versus gorilla. Come on.
Right.
That should have been more over the top. This is Godzilla versus Kong. You know what I mean?
Right.
They made that shit seem like it was just another King of the Monsters movie.
Right.
Mortal Kombat, what the fuck was that? In the age of John Wick? Come on. And John Wick is an American-made movie. Have you seen the movies they dropping in Korea? Even the detective movies got better fucking martial arts than this. The detective movies.
Right.
They got detective movies in Korea with better choreography than this. So imagine what they doing. Hey, bro, that shit was ass.
Right. You're right.
I just watched a Michael J. White movie on Netflix that was way better than that.
Right.
And that shit was some B-ass movie.
It looked like they going the Disney route.
But it was a B movie. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right. It looked like they going the Disney route, man. It looked like they're trying to just push out with it the same type of bullshit movies that they know people gonna watch, but they don't have to put that much quality in it. They just got to do a title, you know.
Like, one thing I'll say and admit that Snyderverse fans, we do be on our bullshit for sure. We definitely do, but more and more people are starting to realize that, you feel me, as much, because it also has to do with the fact that, you know, it's so much on the name Snyder. You feel me? The movement was named after the dude and all that. So it's this whole idea where everybody feels that, oh, they just follow him. You know what I mean? They just want him to do everything. Like, people are starting to realize now that it's like, no, motherfucker, we are trying to help you. We are trying to save you. You know what I mean? You gotta not see how bad all these fucking movies are getting year after year. They're getting worse.
Right. Correct.
You feel me? They're talking about letting J.J. Abrams run the whole DC. Now everybody's scared. Right. Now that everybody's realizing that J.J. Abrams about to come through and run it, now everybody's like, oh shit, we should have stuck with Snyder. That's what we've been telling you. We've been saying this. Like, bro, we saw this shit years. We saw where this shit was going. Nobody was listening. Everybody thought, oh, y'all just dick suckers, Snyder. Y'all just want to see all this dark, grim shit. Right. There was even a time where people just thought we were like Last Jedi fans. Like, oh, y'all just like this stuff because y'all want to be contrary. This movie, BVS is like The Last Jedi. Like, BVS is not like The Last Jedi.
Right.
It just isn't. You know what I mean? The Last Jedi doesn't have fucking Superman, you feel what I mean, drinking green milk and all, and all this. BVS isn't just blatantly disrespecting Batman or Superman or Wonder Woman. Yeah, it makes some tough decisions with the characters, but it has a reason why it's doing it. Right. You know what I mean? Right. It's going for the long play. Batman killed, but Zack Snyder wasn't coming on and go, oh yeah, I'm just trying to make back Zack Snyder like Punisher. You know what I mean? It was a way to give Batman kind of a restart, origin story without actually having to go back and make him young and do his origin story. Like, how can we do an old Batman but still make people invested, you feel me, like really invested in, his character arc. Right. You feel me? Like, we'll start him at a point at his lowest. You feel what I mean? And then we'll build him up back into the great Batman that he was before. It's that simple. Right. It's really, you even had people back then saying that we were just liking this shit just to be contrary because this was just some deconstruction shit. But now, years down the line, once they see all these whack movies coming out, once Snydercut is out and everything, they're like, oh man, these motherfuckers was actually right. You feel what I
Hell
mean?
yeah, hell yeah. Zack Snyder, that shit, the Snyder Cut raised the bar.
And WB done watered this shit down to make it, like you said, like all the Disney stuff and everything. It's sad to even say, like, it's really only like Paramount really now, and Sony that's not really trying to, well, Sony's kind of trying to copy Disney because they're working with Disney. But Sony is still low key. They trying to sneak away from Disney. They just haven't figured out how. They just haven't figured out the best way to fuck over Disney yet. But Paramount is like really the only studio that's just like still just being a studio. Like, we're about to make movies. Like, we're not about to fucking follow agendas and do all this dumb shit and try to do some more MCU stuff. And like, it's weird. Right. You know, it's great that more people are realizing it now, but it's also at a point where it is too little, too late. Because you've got the Ray Fisher, stuff. J.J. Abrams is already on his way in. You feel what I mean? The executives that were put in at WB have already put their foot down and kind of laid down their plans, even though they're being coy about it and all that shit. They're even dropping the 4K trailer of Justice League, letting you, like, motherfuckers should have been telling these niggas, like, yo, stop printing these movies. Stop printing Justice League. Like, you know, like, straight up, because they're taking advantage of whatever they can at this point. They're realizing like, all right, you know what I mean? All they're gonna do is just beg for these movies or beg for the continuation. We're just gonna double, triple down as much as we can. That's why it was good that, you know, fans went up there and downvoted that video to let them know, like, bro, we're not fucking with this iteration. If you're trying to push it or sell to people, y'all better stop. Right. We don't want it. You know what I mean? Like, this is the type of message you got to send to them. Even if they don't listen, the world will see it. So when they come out and start putting out all this bullshit, they can't say that people didn't tell them. They can't say that. If they come out with the Flash movie and they start doing all this wild, goofy stuff in it, and then people don't like it, they can't say that, well, we didn't tell you. Same thing with the Snydercut shit and with the DCEU shit. We told people, like, bro, if you don't see how this is going to a whack direction, how they're watering shit down, it's on y'all in the future. We have no problem with falling back, taking the Snydercut. We don't consider it a trilogy, but shit, we got 3 films now. We can run this shit on film, on spin for forever. I've been watching the Matrix films forever. I've been watching the Lord of the Rings films forever. We got 3 of these films. We can leave y'all dumb motherfuckers behind and not even talk about this shit. You don't, like, for real, we don't have to talk about it. But like, if that ass, we told y'all. We told y'all they was gonna nerf it, water it down. They was only getting rid of Zack Snyder so they can do a bunch of whack shit. And that's exactly what's happening. They're even doing it to other franchises. They even hit Mortal Kombat. Right. They had years to make this Mortal Kombat movie, and this is what they gave you. Right.
You're right, man. You're 100% right, dog. There ain't nothing you can really say against that, because Warner Brothers used to be so dope, dog. From Matrix, like you said, that's Warner Brothers. Lord of the Rings, that's Warner Brothers. The Zack Snyder trilogy, that's Warner Brothers. Christopher Nolan trilogy, that's Warner Brothers. But now they want to do like bullshit. But I think tell me this, what do you think? All right, with this AI, it's just looking for a title. Will the title make money? You know, Godzilla versus King Kong. Yep, it'll make money. All right, print it. You know, they don't really have to do quality no more. Do you think they want to do that? Or check this out. This is a weird question.
I do think it has to do with, you know, as people say, the algorithm.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, these populist movies that came out recently are just so popular. They made so much money, even though people don't like them. It was because of the fact that they took very popular IPs that didn't have movies for a long period of time, and then they dropped them, and then they made billions of dollars. You know what I mean?
Right. No matter the quality.
Exactly. So people were just eating this shit up, and they weren't even realizing how good it was. And the MCU got away with it the most because it started out good. And then when Disney bought them, you know, by the time Disney bought them, people were so bought in, it took a while for people to realize, like, oh, wait, the quality is low-key dropping on this shit. People are starting to realize it now, but it just is what it is. Like,
you know who benefited? Remember Fast and Furious had a few like billion-dollar movies, and they was trash, dog. I mean,
Fast and Furious had a few ups and downs for sure.
Yeah, they did. And it's like, do you think they just gonna go with that? Yo, if we can make $1 billion, we don't care if it's trash. Or do they want to stick and make movies that's gonna last? Because they're making another Matrix. You know, if Ava DuVernay just got canned, so I guess they're making another, New Gods movie or something. You know, I think are we just mad at nothing and they're just capitalizing on us talking shit? Because, you know, they might just make everything we want and just sit back and just tease us. Be like, yeah, whatever. We don't show you the numbers, or we're not going to give you public recognition because we know you're going to talk shit. We're not going to, you know, show you what you did streaming wise because we know you're going to just, you know, they know we want the Snyderverse. They know everything. We don't have to say anything.
Keep the wheel turning.
Yeah, like drama. Like, you know how they can stretch out a Dragon Ball Z series for like 5 series and it's just 5 episodes and it's just Frieza just basically standing there talking shit, you know, but they drag it out, you know, to a point where it gets to be like WWF type shit, like some weird, funny, fake shit. But it's like, all right, Warner Brothers know we want to release, you know, restore the Snyderverse. They know that 100%. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. AT&T knows that 100%. Now, everything else from every day, 365 days a week, you know, 365 days a year, I'm sorry, 52 weeks in a year. We sit here and we talk about this same company online every day for hours, nonstop. And they don't have to release any news, or maybe if they do release some news, no matter what, the wheel is going to turn. They know that shit. So they can just say whatever the fuck they want. They can say some of the most goofy shit. They know it's going to get spammed with release the Snyder Cut or whatever we say that week. They know we're going to say, yo, we want to see Zack Snyder. They know we're going to say, yo, they can do anything, dog. They're just stretching this shit out, in my opinion. They're just fucking with us, dog.
I mean, they could be. It just could be a way to, you know, build up hype, and then they could fold up and, you know, capitalize on all the hype when they need to. It could definitely be a thing, but I don't know.
Did you like it? Did you like it with Pennywise and shit?
I like the original more.
Yeah.
I like the first one of the remake, but the second one was kind of ass to me.
Yeah. So do you trust Andy Muschietti or something with the Flash?
Nah.
No?
I don't know. To be honest, I don't trust the director. I don't trust Ezra Miller. You know, I don't trust the writer.
Right.
Like, you know, the thing about me is, man, people may think that I'm dumb, and I kind of play off that a lot. Like, you know, but I pay a closer attention than I give off. Like,
don't nobody think you dumb, dog. Don't nobody think you dumb. We know you smart.
What I'm saying in the sense, I may just come off like I'm just hating on shit, but they hate it. But I have my, like, you know, I don't really have my reasons why I don't like Ezra Miller. I don't think he's that good of an actor. I already know who the writer is, unless they come out and say something different about the writer, and I know I'm just not fucking with her or the other writers that they're saying that they got involved in this film. With Andy Muschietti, I just don't fuck with his movies. Like, I just feel like he's a guy that, you know, made a popular WB film. They're trying to lean on these horror directors, you know, because that was like the only thing WB felt like they was doing good with, is making these low budget horror movies that was doing good. And they're hoping that, you know, he can turn in something with the Flash. But it's like you're talking about a crossover movie. This is the first movie coming from this guy coming in to get, quote unquote, the DCEU crossover movie, written by the same writer for Birds of Prey. You know, bringing back Michael Keaton. Ben Affleck's going to be in it. Talking about Supergirl is going to be in it. You know, this is going to be, whether people would like to use this comparison or not, this is going to be like a Infinity War. I'm not going to say Endgame, because, you know, people start, you know, getting their panties in a bunch, but it's going to be like an Infinity War type of movie as far as how many characters is going to be in it, for the most part. And
what about Black Adam? You hype about that?
I'm saying, like, that's just, it's not going to be a good movie. In my opinion, like that's the same reason why Infinity War and Endgame weren't good movies. It's not that the writing was so bad. It's not that I don't like Marvel so much, but it's just that, like, you know, they just did this big ass, you know, spectacle ensemble movie with all these characters and moving pieces, and the real goal was just get to point A to point B. You feel me? It wasn't really to tell a coherent story. And like I expect the same thing from the Flash, because you feel me, they probably felt like if Marvel can get away with stuff like that, and they essentially did. I ain't gonna say that the last two Avengers movies were the worst movies, but they're definitely an example of, you know, superhero movie mayhem. You know what I mean? Like they're good in theaters when you check it out for the first time, but for the most part, rewatching, people don't rewatch. It's like rewatching Avatar.
Right.
People don't, you know, it's just like, nah.
Yo,
You know,
let me ask you, do you think they're just making movies for kids? Because I remember Birds of Prey. We went to Birds of Prey. I took all three of my kids, and they fucking had a great time watching that shit. And the other day, before school, like, you know, my kids usually get here like 6 a.m. So they'll turn on a movie before we go to school or whatever. And damn, they were watching Mortal Kombat. So right after school, we didn't finish it in the before school. So after school, they was like, man, I can't wait to see Mortal Kombat, you know? And I'm thinking in my head, damn, that shit wasn't that good, but those are my kids. I think they're pretty cool. Maybe, you know, maybe they're just making movies for kids, you know? And
they are making movies for kids. They've been doing this shit. They've been doing this since the 90s.
Damn. Maybe we're just getting out of that age group where they shit ain't cool to us no more. And Zack Snyder is the only one that caters to us, you know?
No, it really is just the new age. Even when it comes to it's how movies are made today, even when it comes to like cartoons and stuff, they've been doing this type of stuff where it's like, all right, they'll say it's M-rated. Like even the show like Invincible is an example that they just came out with on Amazon. People will sit here and say like, you know, oh yeah, Invincible is an M-rated show. It's not for kids, blah, blah, blah. But you see how many fucking kids be on Twitter? You know what I mean? I don't know if you see, but yeah, you see how many kids on Twitter?
Yeah.
Nothing, but it's nothing. It's the majority of the people watching it is nothing but like, you know, teenagers and kids.
Right.
And that's a R-rated show with blood and sex and all that shit. Like not to say that I didn't used to watch South Park and Spawn and shit when I was young, you know. But I'm just saying, you can just watch, you know, other stuff too. But yeah, like even like it's like a weird thing where even though a movie or a TV show or a cartoon may have a certain rating based on how it's presented, it still aims for a certain demographic. Like Deadpool is supposed to be like, you know, a mature character, you know, a character for adult comic readers. But as you know, kids fucking love Deadpool more than adults.
Right.
You know, like if anything, you can say that the reason why Deadpool movie was even made and the reason why Deadpool was pretty much at this point, he's pretty much in the MCU at this point. I think they announced it already a while ago, but we were probably so into the Snydercut shit that we didn't even really notice. But I think they announced it already that he's in the MCU officially. But that just shows you that people are saying, oh yeah, you know, Kevin Feige's not going to put Deadpool in there, you know, like them MCU fans was like, the fuck he's not.
Right.
I mean, a lot of them MCU fans, well, I assume a lot of them are grown up now because it's been 10 years, but you know, MCU was kind of a kiddie thing. You know, I like the early MCU, but I got out of the MCU pretty early. You know what I mean? Like, like, you know, the DC pretty much only kept me around because of the more, you know, grounded and mature take that it was going from early on. And not to say that Marvel didn't do the same thing for the most part, because they did, but they still kind of geared more towards the younger demographic pretty early.
Right.
But yeah, I do. I even thought the same thing checking out Mortal Kombat, that immature shit is kitty to me. Like that maybe that's, other people have a different definition of it. I know it's not that's probably not the book definition either.
Right.
But that's how I see it. Like, you know, Mortal Kombat was cool for what it is, but all the one-liners and you know what I mean, and all the extra blood, you know what I mean, the unrealistic blood and the quick cut spikes and all that stuff. You feel me? I probably would have thought that was cool when I was, you know, younger, but you know, now I kind of looked at like even when Jack smashed that dude's head and he was like, yeah, this shit's work.
Right.
Like it shit was like a lot of that shit just came off like really key, like, you know, gotta keep it simple lines, you feel what I mean?
For kids,
you know, flashy moments, like that's it.
Right. It was even like Cabal's voice. Like when Cabal was talking, I'm like, why did he sound so goofy like that? You know, like I think it maybe be for kids, you know. It wasn't really any backstory. Kids don't care about backstory.
It was a dub on his voice. That's why. That's what I think. because he had a mask on, it seemed like they did like an old school dub for his character. So they obviously had to do. They probably had to do, talk, do the voice again from ADR. So that's probably what I think that was going to be. So to me, it sounded like some dude talking like off screen.
Yeah, like, it did.
Like it felt like some old school movie shit. Like I haven't heard like if you watch Excalibur, like Excalibur has a lot of moments that sound like that. Like especially when Merlin be talking. Where does this nigga voice coming from? It's dub.
I do that old school voice dub on the end of the video, and I'd be like, "Yeah, please subscribe to the show."
Hell yeah! Like they sound like they did the most old school dub on a $1 million movie.
Yeah, they did, dog. I was like, "Yo, why does Cabal sound like this, dog?" But the kids they act like they loved it. They saw Godzilla vs. King Kong, Gamora, and like Godzilla vs. King Kong that much, but Marlo and J.O., they loved that shit, you know. Or when we went to Birds of Prey, they had a great time in the movie theater, and then I we had so much fun. I didn't know that the movie was that bad, until I watched it again on HBO Max, and I'm like, damn, bro, did I like this shit? But I think I just had fun with the kids, But I think that the kids don't mind it being that retarded,
Cause that's what they're aiming for. Like they in the West, comic books, especially comic book movies, are supposed to be like a kiddie, tongue in cheek, silly thing. You feel me? Thing for kids, and that for the most part, it is true.
Right.
But you can just say, I guess it's just a weird transition because of how comic book movies started out.
Right.
Like I guess you want to go back all the way back to even 1978 is where people would start, but comic book movies have been coming out even before then. Right. And they weren't always this way. But if we start from like the Superman 78, like people look at that movie as really campy now because of the time, but back then that was actually viewed as a serious take on Superman for the most part. It wasn't even really until like Superman 3 and 4 when that shit started really getting wacky.
Right.
But Superman 1 and 2, definitely the first one was considered, a serious take on the character.
Right. It was.
Time.
Right.
Yeah. And then, there was films after that. You go to the Burton Batman films, and even in the era that, we're more used to, like the 90s and like, the early 2000s, pretty much all the CBNs back then were fucking had a serious tone to them. You had Blade, even Spider-Man, you feel me? It was mad dramatics. Peter Parker was always crying and shit. All the
Spawn. They had Spawn. Yep.
The X-Men, you feel me? Even though people don't really like talking about the X-Men movies because Bryan Singer's a pedophile. But, those were there too.
Fucking content came, bro.
Those happens.
Oh man.
I think really only like Fantastic Four by Tim Story was like really one of the only like I wouldn't even say that was very like really goofy or actually campy. I think it was kind of just like middle of the road. Like it took itself seriously, but it was also like well lighthearted, you know. And there was also other movies around that weren't really comic book movies that were just more serious movies. You know what I mean? Like So now it just seems like it just seems like they are kind of aiming things towards like everything towards a more broader, and even that's what Ann Sarnoff said, that they're trying to go for a more broader audience, and they're trying to appease to all fans. And I'm paraphrasing, but she said some bullshit like that,
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this: what you brought up, Ann Sarnoff? What was she saying about the toxic shit? Because Hamad was telling me some shit the other day, but I just woke up and I really couldn't follow along. What was she called? She called the fan base toxic or some shit like that?
Well, pretty much. I'm not going to put words in her mouth because that's not exactly what she said. But if we go based off the wording of the article at the time, I'm pretty sure the article did say that, you know, that Snyderverse fans were reprehensible, were toxic and reprehensible. In the article, it says that she specifically states, and I'll paraphrase, that something about that she feels, you know, people that were participating in the harassment of, I guess, certain execs for using certain tactics were reprehensible and, you know, toxic. And that was, you know, kind of, I would say the point of the whole article. That was like the main narrative that they were trying to spin. Like, all right, so what are you going? It was pretty much saying, so what are you going to be doing next? Blah, blah, blah. We're going to be doing this, that, all this whack shit. And it's like, all right, so why will you be ignoring this huge fan base and not doing what the consumer says? And it's like, well, you know, I do you support the behavior of, you know, trying to understand and their, you know, what they do and how they campaign for this movie. So it's like, it's a weird thing where you can say people will say that, oh yeah, Ann Sarnoff didn't you feel me smash on all Snydercut things. She was only talking about a select few, but that's really only the game that they play. Especially, like I said in the header of the article, it pretty much calls all Snydercut fans toxic. So
where you think she getting her information from?
I don't know.
Damn. Isn't Nerd Queen like Nerd Queen's friend with them, ain't they? Is Nerd Queen's friend with Answer?
Oh shit! If that was the case, then I think shit is more diabolical than we ever thought.
Well, that is a perfect time to wrap it up. Give some shout outs, man. We did a good podcast today, man. You hit everything on the head, bro. You answered. You gave some great answers today, dog, for real. Because that shit, I think that shit needed to be said about like Ray Fisher and the SJW influence and all this shit like that. But a lot of times we don't want to say it. Like I see the Watchmen, they say it in the room all the time, but I think the fans maybe miss out on really the intricacies of this movement, because a lot of times we silent to the fact. We just looking at this shit and laugh at it. I got you on the show today because I wanted somebody to talk about it. And I knew the Content King will talk about that shit.
Content King with no channel.
No, you're still the Content King, bro. Fuck that shit. All right, man. Give some shout outs.
Ray Fisher, you too. Like, shout out to Ray Fisher. I hope he has a great career.
Yeah,
you know, makes you know the best moves in his career and his life. You know what I mean? But
yep, definitely.
And dude is also still a young dude too. I don't. You know, some people act like, you know, dude is a Satan. He has everything figured out, and then you know, he got the job done. But you know, at the end of the day, people are still waiting for him and hoping that, you know, they'll get to see him in more movies and he'll make smart moves. You feel what I mean? Keeping his ass around.
Right.
But,
correct.
You know, it may even sound selfish for some, just to say that, like, you know, like if this means your whole fucking career, nigga, then I mean, we know it's your career right now. Some people wouldn't have said it was that worth it, but it's like, hey, if you thought it was worth it, then we'll support it. You know what I mean? But we hope you bounce back, though. You know what I mean?
Definitely, definitely.
We hope you don't fucking use this shit to take everything and just become an activist or some shit. Nigga,
right.
Like,
shout out to Ray Fisher.
Yeah, you know, do your thing, man.
Word, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show today.
You know, shout out to the Watchmen, you know. Shout out to OJ, of course, and you know, Fatal J. I've been talking to Fatal J for the last few days and all that. Shout out to him. Nostal, I haven't seen him in a while. Jeff is gay. Shout out to him. Yeah. Ben, all that shit, you know. BK.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Forgetting people and shit, you know.
Yo, man, listen to what you're saying, dog. That's a hell of a room, bro. That is a hell of a room, dog. All those names, Fatal J, Film Gob, Nosco. The Watchmen is the shit, dog. I'm bragging. I did create the room, but goddamn, that's a hell of a room.
Yeah.
Yeah, dog. Hell yeah. Well, I appreciate it, man. I will I gotta take Chael baseball practice today, so I'll probably edit the shit up sometime tonight, and it might be out tomorrow morning.
Word.
All right,
Okay,
Holmes. All right, Holmes. Well, I appreciate you. I'll talk to you later. I'll catch you in the chat room sometime later on the day.
Word. Have a good one, man.
All right, you too, dog.
In the fourth Transformers movie, there's a scene where a random guy in an elevator helps Stanley Tucci beat someone up. That guy, turns out he's a Chinese boxer, Zhu Shiming, a world champion and gold medalist. Elsewhere in the movie, you'll see product placement everywhere, from a Chinese milk box and even a Chinese bank ATM in Texas of all places. If you didn't recognize these references, that's because they weren't meant for you. The growth of China's middle class has created a massive new market for the entertainment industry. Next year, China's box office revenue will likely surpass the US, making it the largest movie market in the world. China has built 27 new cinema screens per day on average this year, and as of November 2016, the country has more screens in total than the US. Obviously, the movie makers in Hollywood want to reach those customers. Transformers 4, a movie criticized for literally making no sense at all, was the only film in 2014 to collect over $1 billion worldwide at the box office, thanks to Chinese viewers. The problem is, the Chinese government only allows a certain number of foreign films to enter the country each year. And each one has to pass through the government censorship agency.
There's kind of contradictory impulses. On the one hand, China wants to be the best at everything. They want to succeed. On the other hand, they want to promote what the leader is promoting, Chinese propaganda or socialist core values.
Before the 1990s, very few Hollywood movies made it to Chinese audiences. The Chinese government had its own film industry, and they used it to distribute propaganda, but it was failing. In 1979, 23.9 billion tickets were purchased. In 1993, that dropped to 9.5 billion. But in 1994, things started to change. The Fugitive became the first new American film set for general release to the Chinese public. It was so popular that scalpers outside theaters were getting double the price of the ticket, $1.25. 10 foreign films were allowed in 1994, and since then, Hollywood has pushed the US government to continually negotiate for higher quotas. These days, a US film typically makes it into a Chinese movie theater in one of three ways: through revenue sharing, co-producing with a Chinese company, or through a flat fee. The most common is the revenue sharing model, where the studio gets 25% of the revenue, but only 34 films per year are allowed. Over the last 10 years, American films have strategically incorporated positive Chinese story elements to bolster their chances of being one of the films selected. In Red Dawn, the enemy was originally China but changed to North Korea in post-production. In the film 2012, Oliver Platt says,
"Leave it to the Chinese. I didn't think it was possible. Not in the time we had."
Praising China for building arcs in advance. World War Z, the book, had the virus start in China due to illegal organ trade. That's not the case in the movie. In The Martian, the Chinese space industry saves the day.
Thanks to my Uncle Tommy in China, we got another chance at this.
Millions of dollars were actually invested in the film by Bona Film Group in China. It's important to note, though, that studios don't have to do this. Harry Potter is a great example.
If you look at the regulations in a very strict sense, theoretically, something like a Harry Potter film should not be shown because you're not supposed to have superstition and wizards and things like that. But it's very hard to deny the Chinese audience Harry Potter.
Now, there are two ways to get around the 34-film limit. The least popular among big Hollywood studios today is the flat fee model because they're selling the film at a fraction of the cost and China gets 100% of the ticket sales. The other option is co-producing the movie with a Chinese company so that it's not technically a foreign film. But co-productions are the most tightly regulated, with strict guidelines on things like the film's shooting location and its finances. It also has to have at least a third of the cast be Chinese. In short, China somehow has to play a significant role in the film, and it can't be as the villain.
Drop your weapons, or I kill your man!
Before Looper was released, its director and studio partnered with DMG, a Chinese-based entertainment company, to adapt the film to a Chinese audience. DMG recommended that the script be rewritten to take place in Shanghai rather than its original location in Paris. But ultimately, separate American and Chinese versions of Looper were released because the Chinese scenes in the film didn't resonate with US and international audiences.
And that's always the issue when you're dealing with China and deciding on a co-production. As important as the China market is, it's not the only market.
Ultimately, China wants their own films to outnumber and outplay their foreign competitors. So they're building their own Hollywood. It's an $8.2 billion investment slated to open April 2017 from the same company that actually bought AMC in 2012 and subsequently doubled their ticket sales. Sure, China will share their facilities with US studios, but their doors are still only half open. That film quota that has held the US at bay for the last 2 decades will also apply to Hollywood studios vying to book the state-of-the-art facilities.